Greetings, Batavia Mayor Jeff Schielke speaking to you on Friday, May 27th, 2022. And I'm going to start this program off today with a little bit of a COVID alert. I would just share with you that we've been contacted by several people at the city over the last couple of days that COVID has raised its face on the test cards of several Batavia residents who have been either tested but and were positive, but then nothing happened, and then we are hearing of several beloved Batavia residents who have been fighting it but seem to be overcoming it. So it's all positive, I guess, the news, but I just wanted to encourage everyone, if you have any sense that you maybe aren't feeling well or whatever, please go get yourself tested for COVID to ensure that you don't let yourself slip into a really bad situation. So that is the first news, it's kind of the bad news of the week, if you will, but we'll get that over with. Now, on the more positive front, we're getting ready to roll into the Memorial Day weekend, and we have a variety of things going to take place over this coming weekend, including tomorrow morning on Saturday is going to be the opening of the Batavia River Street Farmers Market under Batavia Main Street, and with the assistance of the Batavia Chamber of Commerce and a lot of good people, and we're probably going to stretch that thing almost 3 blocks up River Street. We're starting at Wilson, we'll go up to State, up to Spring, and we'll be heading toward Franklin, I'm sure, before it's over with displays and farmers selling hopefully a lot of good corn and tomatoes and whatever else they can get out on their wagons and get over here. So that is becoming a very popular thing. I've had several people tell me from out of town that they're planning to come to the Batavia's Farmers Market because it is such a nice variety and it's a very friendly atmosphere and it's a lot of fun, and hopefully the weather's going to break for us tomorrow to be a good day for that. In addition to that, this coming weekend we are going to have on Monday morning we're going to have quite a bit of activity because we're going to have, starting early, the Batavia Viking Lodge is going to have their annual herring breakfast down at the VFW, and there's a whole group of folks that come from several towns around that come down and like the herring, and they're very anxious to get here for it. And then a lot of people now will, I'm sure, with the support and good efforts of the Batavia VFW Post 1197, will be wanting to stay and hang on for the Memorial Day service that the VFW is going to put out. So we are very, very pleased that that's going to happen. And I'm told that's all going to start kicking in around the 10 o'clock time frame. And it will be kicking in with the Batavia Community Band doing a special Memorial Day concert. And then after a brief few words by the VFW, they will go through the gun firings and all the stuff that they do, and it's always a very meaningful program. I've often thought that Batavia as a community around here really has some memorable moments as it surrounds the Memorial Day service, given the fact that if you go to Hawaii, to Pearl Harbor, there's a big monument on display in the middle of this water out there, in which they list all the people who died on the USS Arizona. And I think within the top 10 names on that list, very much at the top is Francis Oborowski, who was then the son of the Batavia Chief of Police, Severin Oborowski, and he was on the USS Arizona and went down with it. And so that's one of the more memorable moments of the whole World War II experience was the attack on Pearl Harbor and the sinking of the USS Arizona. And we had a Batavian right there in the middle of it, and unfortunately was one of those who had perished in it. But we do have that. And then at the end of World War II, or what was going to be the end of World War II, we had several Batavians, I'm not going to name them all, but we had several Batavians who were very much in the action at D-Day, at Normandy. And so we got a lot to be proud of in this town as to the people within our community who stepped forward. And one story I've told previously at the Memorial Day service, going to the Vietnam War, we had one of the Batavians who was a casualty, and that was a gentleman by the name of Martin Johnson, who was a 1967 graduate of Batavia High School. And he had joined the U.S. Army and got into Vietnam and ended up being killed. And what was the tie-in with our Memorial Day service down at the VFW is that Martin was a school classmate of mine, and I always can remember that he lived out southeast of Batavia down off of Wagner Road in that area down there. And one of the things that he liked to do was ride his bicycle down to the old third rail right-of-way and get on that and come down to right behind the VFW. He'd bring his fishing pole and he'd get out in the river and he'd fish down there. So right there in the back of the VFWs where Martin used to drag his pole and spend the afternoon fishing, and he's the one that died in Vietnam. So the service has some kind of sidebar issues or stories with it that I think illustrate really how involved and how Batavia really stepped forward at all times and did stuff that was for the defense and the liberties of the United States of America. And we have some wondrous stories on a very positive note to talk about as a result of those good issues. So I encourage everyone on Monday to get up and go down to the VFW, and I thank the Batavia VFW post under Commander Swanson for doing all they're doing this year to keep this tradition alive and making Batavia very proud of itself. So jumping forward then to the 14th of June, we're going to have the Flag Day Monument groundbreaking. It's starting at 6 p.m. in the evening, and there's going to be a program between 6 and 7:30 down on the Batavia Riverwalk adjacent to the Peg Bond Center here by City Hall. And one of the things we are trying to do is encourage everyone to come on down and participate in this. The Batavia Community Band is going to be there for that. We'll be playing some music, and there's going to be a few small speeches. But when we get this monument built in about another year, I think it's going to be a major attraction for people from throughout the region, and in many instances from out the country, who will come to Batavia to see the Batavia Flag Day Monument, which in some respects was put there because Dr. Bernard Sagrand, who lived on South Batavia Avenue in the early 1900s, was one of the nationwide promoters of the whole idea that Flag Day be designated on June 14th. And so we want to commend Dr. Sagrand and those in this country who served with him. And in 1916 they got Woodrow Wilson just as World War I was breaking out to designate Flag Day, and that's how Flag Day got its start. So Batavia's got a lot of history here. So then we jump forward, and we're going to have a real patriotic run here because on July 4th we're returning for the 71st, I guess we'll call it the 71st. There's a little bit of a discussion as to whether it's the 71st or the 72nd, but there was a year, as you may remember, 2 years ago when we couldn't fire because of the COVID. So we've only really had 71 shows, I guess, or we'll have 71 shows. And this started in 1950 by the Batavia Fire Department under the late Harold Peterson and Bud Richter, who was the fire chief. And they came up with the idea that Batavia should have a 4th of July fireworks program to keep people at home and in town and not out on what was then perceived to be dangerous highways where they could get in accidents. And so we started this, and they asked for donations. In the first year they raised enough money to pay for the fireworks. And a great moment of community pride is for me to sit here and say, well, here we are 71 or 72 years later, and every show that's been fired has been always donated by donations by Batavia people and businesses and whatever. And so we'd like to have that happen again. This year we are offering up a sign for you to buy for $25. And this is what the sign looks like. And you can come down to City Hall or go to utility billing, and you can buy it there. Or if you want, you can go online and you can go to the website bataviafireworks.org, and there are 3 stripes on this website, and you click on the spot where the 3 stripes are, and it's in the upper right hand corner of the screen, and this will then take you to this space on this website where they'll allow you to order a sign that you can buy and put in your yard. And then, so I'm told, Mark Davis, who is the chairman of the Batavia Fireworks Committee, as long as it's in Batavia, he delivers your sign to you and puts it right in your front yard. And so that's the way that's going to look. And we've already had a number of people buy these signs. And so I would like to encourage as many as they can, because we are nearing the, we still do need to raise a little money, but this is certainly helping us. And I just want to encourage everyone that hasn't made their donation yet to please do so, because we want to carry on the tradition that we only shoot off donated money or fireworks from donated money in Batavia. And so between what's happening this weekend and the opening of the Farmers Market and then all the other stuff, Batavia is really going to have a very patriotic moment. And really the final thing I guess I'd like to talk about today is say a few words about Richard Buri, who on May 21st of this year passed away at his now home out in Wyoming. And Dick Buri was very well known to many of us who grew up in Batavia in the 1950s and the 1960s, because as a Batavia resident, he got the idea that he wanted to put a go-kart track in Batavia. And as I remember, his first go-kart track was over at the corner in the building of the old U.S. Wind Engine and Pump Company at Water Street and First Street. And he had a track in there that was outlined by tires that he had on the ground, and you drove your go-kart around the tires in the floor. And it was very popular, and then he greatly started to expand the idea, and then he moved himself down on South River Street and was in the property kind of across the street from where the VFW post is. And then he got even stronger and a lot more activity, and then he moved himself to, I think it's 1335 South River, which is Funway, and he was the original creator and owner of Funway. And he stayed in Batavia in business for about 30 years, and then he got the hankering to move west, and he moved out to Wyoming, and he came back here a couple times and visited, and fortunately I was one of the people that he would always stop by and see. And so I had the opportunity the last time he was in town to take he and his wife Joy on a ride around Batavia, and he was very proud of everything that he saw as far as new businesses and Randall Road and all this stuff that had happened. He always felt that Batavia was going to have this happen someday, and it did. And I think he certainly was a contributor in the whole idea that Batavia continue to grow and prosper. And he's one that, you know, was not afraid either to speak his mind or spend his money to help Batavia do nice things for the community. And so I just wanted to offer a word of tribute to Dick, because he was one of those people who really was a blender and a developer and a visionary who really saw the potentials in Batavia, and probably more importantly, he saw a lot of potential in people, that many of whom he hired to work at Funway and work for him and learn the business world, and many of them left and went out and did other nice things in this world. So Dick was a person who had a lot of impacts on a lot of lives from a very positive perspective in Batavia. And I guess at the end of the day, we can say that he truly did make our world a greater and grander and nicer place because of his time in Batavia. So to his family, I express the condolences of the community, but know that you have a lot to be proud of in the life of Dick Buri, because he really did make a difference in Batavia that speaks well for the future of this town. So with that sentiment spoken, I will end this week, and I wish you all a good weekend. Hope you take part in some of the various patriotic activities that are going to be offered this week or weekend or in the coming month. And please know that Batavia prides itself on being a very patriotic city, and hopefully 2022 is going to be a strong advocate and a strong memory of that activity taking place. So have a great week, and I'll talk to you next week.